Hello everyone, welcome back to another Sims video. Today I'm going to be talking all about my favorite Sims game, The Sims 2. The Sims 2 is my favorite Sims game. It's the first Sims game, like proper mainline Sims game that I ever played. And also I think it wins in a lot of different ways. And I'm going to be talking about some of my favorite things about The Sims 2 in this video. The Sims 2 is definitely the most iconic Sims game. I think that it brought a lot of attention to the Sims franchise with machinimas, all of the CC, the era that it came out in. It was like the mid 2000s. It made the game 3D. It brought a lot of stories, drama, like the cutscenes. Like people were going insane. I was going insane. I was like 5 years old. It really holds the icon status when it comes to the Sims games. The Sims 3 definitely comes very close in terms of that, because I think a lot of us played the Sims 3 when we were younger, like when we were teenagers, kids, like growing up, like it was a different time than it is now, and it's very nostalgic also. But Sims 3 wouldn't be anything without Sims 2. That's what I think. I think what makes The Sims 2 stand out to me, who's been playing The Sims 4 for many years, played The Sims 3 before that, and then played The Sims 2 a long time ago. When you compare those three games, The Sims 2 is a lot more simplistic in different aspects and then more detailed in others. It's definitely a lot more simplistic in the sense that there's not as many things to do. Like in The Sims 3, there's the open world, there's festivals, there's so many different rabbit hole lots, there's so many objects, there's so many hidden store items, things like that. The Sims 4, we obviously know there's so many DLC, there's loads of mods, loads of CC, and of course there's a lot of mods and CC for The Sims 2 as well. But I think Sims 4, because so many people are playing it at once and it's been an active game for like what, 11 years, I think when you look at a lot of people's Sims 4 games these days, there's a lot of different aesthetics, a lot of different styles of gameplay, a lot of different, like it almost sometimes feels like you're not even playing the same game. But with The Sims 2, when you see The Sims 2, you know it's The Sims 2, you know? But the thing with The Sims 2 is that it masters the small details and kind of integrates it into the simplistic gameplay. Things like when your Sims drink coffee, it makes them shake, that makes them look like really caffeinated. Or if your child Sim needs to get something in the kitchen, they get on a step stool, or like if they need to get to the counter, like just small details like that that were kind of forgotten about. I think The Sims 3 did carry over some of those things, like small details in The Sims 2 that aren't in The Sims 4 are in The Sims 3, but a lot of them were left behind. And I feel like small details like that build up and they kind of make The Sims feel more human. And I think The Sims 2 really did a good job at layering those small details in so many different aspects of gameplay that make you think, wow, like you can do that in The Sims 2, especially if you've only played like The Sims 4. If you play The Sims 2 for the first time, you're going to be really shocked. So yeah, I think the attention to detail in The Sims 2 is unmatched, and it makes it really fun to play when you see your Sim do these little small things. Like you're just like, wait, like they do things autonomously. Even breaking the fourth wall like is something that they do, which kind of reminds you you're playing a game and they know you're playing the game. Like it's funny. One of my favorite things about The Sims 2 is the memory system. The memory system is something that I really, really love. I wish it was in every Sims game. Memories are so important to us humans. Like without memories, we wouldn't be able to maintain relationships. We wouldn't be able to remember skills because we'd learn them, but we wouldn't remember. Like if we didn't have our memories, who would we be? And in The Sims 2, memories are very important, especially when it comes to playing pre-existing Sims. And in The Sims 2, memories are a core part of a Sim. They're apparent, but they're not annoying. Like you can go into the memory panel and learn all about a Sim's life, especially the pre-existing Sims in The Sims 2 towns. I'm someone that's only really ever played Pleasant View, and when you go into the pre-existing Sims households and things like that, you can learn all about a Sim's life. Who their first love was, who they were cheated on, who they got married to, who died in their life, what good things happened in their family at that time. Like you get to learn a lot of things like that. And when you play through Sims, you automatically make new memories. When you get married, there will be cutscenes. Also, I just love the cutscenes in The Sims 2. Oh my God, I almost forgot to talk about that. I love the cutscenes. Like when your Sim's born, there's a birth cutscene. When they have each birthday, there's a birthday cutscene, and everyone in the household will run to celebrate the birthday, which I love. First kiss cutscene, first woohoo cutscene, getting married. And even where there aren't cutscenes, it kind of sometimes feels like there are. Like if your Sim's having a mental breakdown, there will be like the therapist that shows up, and it kind of feels like you've pressed pause on the gameplay and you're watching something, but it's actually still the gameplay. Even when the burglars arrive, like just the idea of like everything feeling cinematic in a way, and like kind of like a story's being told, even when you're just pressing play and just hanging out with your Sims, chilling. In The Sims 2, it's kind of harder to do that because there's always something going on, and it feels like there's just a constant story going through. There's like a current, and You have to go along with the current. You can't just break your own way. And I personally love that because I don't really like feeling like I have to micromanage stories. I like when things happen naturally. And that's something that I love about The Sims 2. Everything is just so fluid and it goes together, all aspects of life, their memories, like it just all builds up. It's like layering a cake. So I love memories, I love cutscenes, I love the small details. Another thing I love is the hobby system. I love that each sim has a predestined hobby that they're into. They can be into cuisine, film and literature, tinkering, sports, music and dance, fitness. And all these hobbies are split into smaller like sub hobbies. So if your sim's into fitness, they will build fun if they do jump rope, if they swim, if they ice skate. And the idea of each sim having a predestined hobby when they're born kind of makes them feel like more unique and more like individuals in the household, especially if you're playing with a big family. And when it comes to child sims in this game, they are not neglected when it comes to the gameplay and activities. You could have just had the base game and you could entertain a child sim's hobby regardless of what their hobby was. I also love the relationships in The Sims 2. Going back to the small details and quirks, that does apply to the relationships as well. And one thing I love is that there is a temporary relationship bar and then a lifetime relationship bar. So on the top there's like a short-term relationship bar, and on the bottom there's like this lifelong, like more meaningful, like long-term relationship. And I think that's realistic because that's kind of how real life works. Obviously, like you're not just gonna meet someone and then be best friends with them in one day. And also you will have people that you're friends with for a couple of years in life, and maybe you'll just, you know, fade out, not talk as much. And then there's friends that you have for life, and it takes a while to get to that level, of course. Like if you're friends with someone for 50 years, you're gonna hold them dear to you, right? I also love that relationships are one-sided in The Sims 2. So theoretically, your sim could love another sim, and then that sim could hate your sim. Like it's not like a one-to-one thing, like they could completely have different perceptions of each other, which is also realistic because, you know, your sim might hate someone, but then that sim keeps on trying to be friends with your sim, like, you know what I mean? Obviously the temporary bar and the lifetime bar apply here, but also the chemistry system is really good in The Sims 2. Your sims have two things that they like, one thing that they don't, and you very quickly learn what sims they're attracted to and what sims they aren't attracted to. So if your sim is very attracted to someone, you definitely can tell, like they will be swooning over that sim. Cheating in The Sims 2, I'm not gonna lie, is definitely one of my favorite things to do because it's so like, it holds so much weight in the game. If you've played through Pleasant View and you've played the Pleasant family, or if you had Dawn get married to Cassandra, you've probably experienced a lot of cheating. Also the cutscene, like them getting caught is just a mess. If your sim catches their partner cheating, chances are they will be furious. They will run up, they will start smacking their partner. They might even start slapping the other person. If they're a family sim and their bar gets low enough, they might have a mental breakdown or aspiration failure, and the therapist will show up trying to console them. And I also use a mod that allows them to roll the want to get a divorce after that happens, so it can be even more messy. Also, the want system is also superior in The Sims 2. I didn't even mention that. Wants and fears, they're so good. They're always relevant. They make sense for the Sims. It's not like another game where they just want to do push-ups all the time. It actually relates to like what they want to do in life, like who they are. If they're a romance sim, they want to woohoo 10 people. If they're a family sim, they want to have another baby. The aspiration system is also very simplistic in The Sims 2, which I know a lot of people like on the surface don't like the look of that. But because the wants and fear system is so strong and it's so good, it just makes sense that everything's simplistic. Things are less muddled and the Sims' motives are clear. What they want to do in life are clear. And you'd think because there's only so many aspirations and it's an older game, you know, you probably think that all of the Sims kind of turn into one if they have the same aspiration, but that is not true. Especially if you look at each Sim's memories and build up their story and like really create the character of who they are, pre-existing Sim or new Sim, and then add that to their aspiration, what they want in life, you can really it just makes sense. It just makes so much more sense. But yeah, going back to cheating, they are so messy in The Sims 2. Like one selfish act can destroy an entire family and traumatize the children too. They can get bad memories from that. And another major thing that I love about The Sims 2 is the lore of the worlds. As I said, I've only ever really played with Pleasant View. There's Strangetown, there's Veronaville, there's Desiderata Valley, there's Belladonna Cove. There's another one that I'm forgetting about. and not just thoughtless lore that's put into the bio but doesn't really make sense when you go into game with them. All of them have memories, they have stories that interconnect throughout the time with other Sims, and Pleasant View is definitely my favorite because I think that I just love the story. I feel like it could be turned into a book or something, but I've been playing with every single family in Pleasant View for I think 3 years on and off, and the reason why I've played for that long, which I don't usually play with families or that many families for that long, is because the lore that you start off with in Pleasant View is just so strong, so interesting, so captivating, so mysterious. There's a lot of controversy, there's scandal, there's betrayal, there's wholesome memories and relationships that you start off with as well. And since I've been playing, I've watched Sims die, new Sims be born, Sims get married, watch them all grow up and evolve in different ways. Like the sim that you're watching right now, Dina, you know, iconic Dina Caliente, she's my favorite sim of all of the Sims franchise. She's on her third husband and she's living a lavish life now. And you'd think her life is perfect, but if you looked at her memory, she's went through a lot. Meanwhile, her sister, Nina, is living a completely different life. Like they started off together in Pleasant View when you play, and their stories just led them in different directions. And hardly any of it had to do with me like getting involved. I just followed their wants and it led them here. But the way I would describe the lore in The Sims 2 when you start playing in pre-existing households is it's like pressing play in a story that started long before you arrived, and it really has a life of its own. It's going to continue even when you leave. And I think when I compare that to specifically The Sims 4 when you go into pre-existing households, because when I play The Sims 3 and The Sims 4, I almost always have made my own Sims. But I was going to say, when you play The Sims 4, you go into a household and it might have lore in the bio and they might have some pre-existing relationships, but when you go in, they don't really do anything. They just kind of fart around. Sims 3, I think, is probably the happy medium when it comes to pre-existing lore. Like there's some really good lore in different households and things like that, but I think the way that the Sims 2 Sims just jump into action, they already have the stories going on, there's some events that are already about to go through, like some sequenced events that in many cases are scripted at the beginning, but when you play through these families, you see that that's just how the game is. Like the game is like that, okay? It's not just a special little thing that happens to make this family look good at the beginning or make the family look interesting at the beginning. There are cutscenes, I already mentioned how cinematic this game is, and this is just your sign to give it a try, okay? The Sims 2 is really, really fun. There really is so much that I could say about this game, all of the small details that add up to make it so amazing, but the fundamental reason that I think the game is amazing is the top tier effortless stories that ooze out of the game. But if you would like to check out some Sims 2 gameplay, I've been streaming The Sims 2 quite a lot on Twitch recently, as well as The Sims 3 and The Sims 4. I actually just started a Sims 3 Legacy Challenge on Twitch, which is really fun so far, so be sure to check that out down below. And yeah, if you enjoyed this very yappy video about why I love The Sims 2, be sure to leave a like and a comment of your thoughts. Let me know in the comments if you played The Sims 2 before, if you've never played The Sims 2 before. I think The Sims 2 is a really fun game, especially this time of year, and yeah, I hope you guys are all having a wonderful day or night wherever you are, and I will see you all very soon with another Sims video. Bye!